Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of your sources, articles, research, our own notes, and really dig in to pull out the key insights for you. Today, we're journeying into an ancient text, Genesis chapter 28. It's a narrative that's, well, incredibly rich with personal transformation and this really profound, unexpected encounter.
Absolutely. It's a pivotal moment.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive, we want to unearth the key takeaways from this crucial point for Jacob. What happens when you're out on your own, feeling completely alone, and then bam, something extraordinary happens that just reshapes everything. Your destiny, your whole understanding of purpose.
Yeah, it's about that collision between the ordinary and the divine.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So we kick things off with a really critical command from a father, from Isaac. It sets Jacob on this path that changes, well, everything. Isaac calls Jacob in, not just for a blessing, but with this very specific, very weighty instruction for his future. What was that command? Why was it so important?
Right. So Isaac blessed Jacob, yes. But crucially, that blessing came attached to a direct command. Do not marry a Canaanite woman. And this wasn't just like a casual preference. It was vital given the, distinct cultural and religious practices of the Canaanites. They were seen as completely opposed to the family's covenant with God.
Okay. So it was about identity preservation.
Exactly. And then he told him where he should go. He instructed him to travel to Padan Aram, that's back in Mesopotamia, the family's ancestral homeland, find his mother's family, Bethuel's household, and marry one of the daughters of Laban, his uncle. It was a very clear mandate about lineage.
And the blessing itself, you mentioned it wasn't just a simple well-wish. It sounds like it carried enormous weight, historically, spiritually.
Oh, absolutely. Isaac invoked God Almighty, asking him to bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. Now, what's fascinating here, right, is that this isn't just personal for Jacob. It's a foundational promise for a whole future nation. And even more profoundly, he explicitly passed on the blessing given to Abraham, saying Jacob and his descendants would take possession of the land where you now reside as a foreigner.
Wow. So that directly plugs Jacob into that huge ongoing promise of land and descendants. It really cements his role in this larger divine plan.
Precisely. It started generations ago. So Jacob gets sent off with this clear purpose, but you can imagine also immense pressure and expectation.
Yeah, no kidding. So Jacob heads off, following orders, carrying these massive blessings. But this whole situation doesn't just affect him, right? It creates ripples. What about Esau, his brother? What happens when he finds out about all this?
Right, Esau. Well, when he learns about it, the text highlights a few things he noticed. He saw Isaac bless Jacob, sent him off to Padan Aram for a wife, and specifically clocked that command, do not marry a Canaanite woman.
Okay.
And he also noted Jacob's immediate obedience. But the key part is the realization that hits Esau. Esau then realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac.
So a bit of an oops moment, maybe, realizing his own past choices weren't great in his father's eyes.
Kind of, yeah. He had already married 2 Hittite women who were Canaanites, so maybe he suddenly gets it, or maybe he just wants to, get back in his father's good graces.
So how does he react then? Does he try to, fundamentally change his ways or make amends?
Well, Esau's reaction is, it's very Esau. It's pragmatic, almost a calculation. Instead of dealing with the core issue or talking to Jacob, he just goes off to Ishmael's family.
Ishmael, Abraham's other son.
Exactly. And he marries Mahalath, Ishmael's daughter, adding another wife to the ones he already had. So he's trying to align himself with Abraham's wider family line, maybe thinking that'll look better to Isaac.
But it's not the specific line Isaac chose for Jacob.
Not at all. It's a strategic move, perhaps, trying to get approval, but it completely misses the spirit of the command Isaac gave Jacob. It's a surface adjustment.
That contrast is really stark, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jacob's obedience, even if maybe reluctant, versus Esau's sort of pragmatic maneuvering. What's the insight there for us?
I think it's a powerful lesson in, alignment, maybe. Esau tries this outward conformity, like an external fix, hoping for favor without any real heart change.
Yeah.
Jacob, for all his flaws, he starts this journey of a deeper encounter and obedience, even if he doesn't fully get it yet. The insight, I think, is that real transformation usually needs that internal reorientation, a commitment to a specific path, not just, changing behavior on the surface to please someone or because it's convenient.
So the difference between just adjusting things versus a real foundational shift inside.
Exactly.
Okay. So Esau's reaction kind of highlights these two diverging paths. He's doing his pragmatic thing. And Jacob. Well, Jacob is now truly alone, heading out following this command, carrying these big promises, but leaving everything familiar behind. How does this initial setup, the isolation, the vulnerability, how does that prepare the ground
Yeah.
for the incredible encounter he's about to have?
It really does. Jacob leaves Beersheba, heads for Haran. And yeah, this is not a comfortable trip at all. Can you describe that scene when he stalks for the night? It sounds incredibly basic, almost raw.
Oh, it is. The sun sets, so he has to stop. He just finds what the text calls a certain place.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound planned, does it?
No, it implies just stopping wherever he happened to be in the wilderness. No inn, no shelter.
Right. And he doesn't have a tent, nothing. He literally takes one of the stones lying around, puts it under his head for a pillow, and lies down to sleep right there on the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, it paints such a vivid picture. Isolation, just basic survival needs, and this profound vulnerability. He's out in the open, long way from home, uncertain future, using a rock for comfort.
Utterly exposed.
It's right there in that stark, exposed setting, that place of, like, ultimate vulnerability that something absolutely extraordinary happens. Jacob has this dream. What does he see?
Yeah, this is the dream, isn't it? Incredibly vivid, iconic. He saw a stairway resting on the earth with its top reaching to heaven. Right, Jacob's ladder. And the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. It's this powerful visual of a direct, active link between the earth, right where he is, and the divine realm. And it's not static, it's busy, dynamic.
That image, the stairway, the ladder connecting earth and heaven. It's so potent. What's the deeper significance there? What's it telling us about God and humanity in this story?
Well, delving into that, the ladder symbolizes this direct, accessible pathway. It basically says, even though Jacob feels alone, there's actually no real separation. Heaven and earth are connected. And the detail about angels ascending and descending is key. It's not just a one-way street to heaven. It shows constant movement, active engagement, communication flowing both ways.
Like divine traffic?
Kind of, yeah. It suggests this path is well-traveled, alive with divine activity. God's not distant. He's actively involved right here, right now. It tells Jacob and us that divine help and presence are constantly at work.
Okay, so this incredible pathway is teeming with activity. And who appears above it all? What does the Lord himself say to Jacob, especially in this lonely, vulnerable moment?
Right, the Lord stands right there, above it, confirming his presence, and he introduces himself very specifically. I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. He's connecting directly to Jacob's heritage.
Anchoring him.
Exactly. Then he repeats and expands on those family promises, but makes them deeply personal for Jacob. First, the land. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Suddenly, this uncomfortable patch of ground is promised inheritance. Second, descendants. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth. You will spread out, promising immense growth, a great nation. Third, global blessing. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. This zooms out, giving Jacob's lineage universal importance.
So it's not just about his family anymore.
Right. And finally, and this is maybe the most powerful part given Jacob's situation, a personal assurance of divine presence and protection. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you.
That last part is huge. It's a direct personal promise to him, right there, feeling alone and exposed. Companionship, protection, guaranteed return, fulfillment.
It's incredibly comprehensive. It goes way beyond just future stuff like land and lineage. It's about God being with Jacob right then and there and sticking with him. It's a jolt, isn't it? From the mundane rock pillow to this cosmic yet intimate encounter.
It absolutely redefines what alone means.
Yeah.
If the divine is that present, then even a barren spot can become, well, the center of everything.
Exactly. And it delivers this powerful insight, I think. These profound divine moments. They often happen not in grand temples or planned retreats, but in the most unexpected, humble, maybe even vulnerable times and places.
Yeah, it definitely challenges where we think we might encounter the sacred. Makes any ordinary place a potential gate of heaven. So Jacob wakes up. After that dream, what's his immediate reaction? How does he understand the place he's in now?
His first thought, it's this sudden, profound realization mixed with real awe, almost terror. He thinks, surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it.
He missed it before.
Yeah. He's filled with this holy fear, this reverence, and declares, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. The spot he just saw as a random place to sleep is suddenly perceived as sacred ground, divinely charged. It wasn't just a dream, it was a reality-altering visitation.
Okay, that raises the question, how do you even respond to that? An overwhelming sense of the sacred in a place you thought was nothing special where you just used a rock as a pillow. Jacob doesn't just sit there thinking about it, does he? He acts.
He really does. His response is immediate, it's physical, and it's ritualistic. First thing the next morning, he takes that very stone he slept on, that ordinary rock,
A pillow rock.
the pillow rock. He sets it up like a pillar, a monument, and then he pours oil over it. This act transforms it. It's not just a stone anymore. It's consecrated, marking the spot as sacred, acknowledging that connection between heaven and earth he witnessed.
It's like he's physically saying something happened here, turning this mundane object into a memorial of God's presence. He's taking ownership of the experience.
Absolutely. It's his tangible response to the spiritual encounter.
And then he renames the place,
Yeah.
gives it a whole new identity reflecting what happened. It goes from Luz to Bethel.
Mm.
But is this just about changing the name of the place, or does this physical act, the pillar, the renaming, show a deeper internal shift in Jacob too, from being unaware to actively recognizing and marking the sacred?
I think it's definitely both, but that internal shift feels paramount. He calls it Bethel, which literally means house of God. The nearby town was Luz, but this spot is now defined by his encounter. Renaming it solidifies its spiritual meaning for him and for anyone who hears the story. It's not just a place anymore, it's the place where God showed up. For Jacob, it's this act of commitment, of memory. He's actively defining his relationship with God now. It's a huge step in his journey, moving from just passively receiving blessings to actively participating. He's not just running away anymore, he's encountering his destiny.
You know, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Have you ever had a moment like that, where an ordinary place suddenly became extraordinary because of something you realized or experienced there, finding sacred space where you least expect it?
Yeah. Those moments stick with you.
So, after this incredible divine encounter, after setting up the stone, Jacob then makes a vow. It's pretty detailed, almost like an if-then statement.
It is. It's quite striking.
Yeah, it's so practical, almost transactional. If you do these things for me, then I'll do this for you. Especially right after receiving these unconditional, huge promises from God about land, descendants, presence. Does this kind of conditional response somehow lessen the impact of the dream? Or does it maybe show something very human, very relatable about how faith develops?
That's a really crucial point, and I think it highlights the human element so well. Jacob's vow is, very clear, almost contractual. He says, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey, give me food to eat and clothes to wear so that I return safely, then the Lord will be my God.
Right.
Then the stone will be God's house, and then I will give you a tenth. He's laying out conditions that if God meets them, will lock in his commitment.
It's that contrast you mentioned that's so interesting. God's promises were totally unconditional.
Exactly. Jacob's vow zooms right in on his immediate, very human worries. Safety, food, clothing, getting home safe. He just had this mind-blowing vision, these sweeping promises, but his response grounds it immediately in tangible needs.
So is that bad? Or just human?
I don't think it diminishes the encounter. I think it reveals where Jacob is at in his faith journey right then. It's his personal response, trying to make sense of this huge divine promise in terms he understands, especially feeling so vulnerable. It suggests this initial, maybe reciprocal dynamic. Okay, God, if you take care of these practical things, I'm in.
The starting point.
Exactly. It's a foundational act of worship and commitment, even with the ifs. It's a massive step for him, moving from just getting a promise to actually responding with a pledge of his own, even if that pledge is still tied up with his immediate needs. It shows him grappling, trying to integrate this overwhelming spiritual thing into his very real, very uncertain life.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a very human moment within this divine encounter. It kind of acknowledges that faith often starts with these tangible, maybe even conditional steps, before it grows into deeper, unconditional trust. It reminds us our spiritual journeys are often progressive, right? Starting where we are.
Definitely. It's a process.
So we've journeyed from Isaac's command and Esau's pragmatic reaction, through Jacob's lonely dream of that heavenly stairway, to his awe-filled awakening and that very thoughtful, if conditional, vow at Bethel.
Yeah, and what really stands out from this deep dive is that powerful mix of blessings passed down through family and these completely new, deeply personal, divine encounters.
Right.
We see how complex God's promises are: land, descendants, global impact, but also that intense personal presence. And then we see the very human response to something so overwhelming.
leading to creating sacred space, making
Mm.
a personal commitment, even if it's framed by those immediate practical needs. It's clearly a moment of huge transformation for Jacob. It shapes his identity, his future.
Absolutely. It sets the course.
We've really unpacked a story that's all about beginnings, isn't it? A
Hmm.
new journey, new promises, a whole new understanding of the connection between heaven and earth. It's a narrative that reminds us just how much impact unexpected encounters can have, often in the humblest, most vulnerable settings, where the ordinary suddenly becomes extraordinary.
Mm.
So here's something to think about. How might a single moment of profound realization, maybe even in the most ordinary circumstances in your life, redefine not just a place, but your entire understanding of purpose and connection? And what personal vows, big or small, might you find yourself making in response to guidance or opportunity on your own journey?